Peace, love, liberty, radio.
And the walls come crashing down as the war at home reaches your town. You have no choice, it's safe and clean. We all submit to the war machine.
Today is Wednesday, which means it's the day that I answer your questions. But before I do, I have some announcements. Yes, I know, I've been having lots of announcements, and I intend to probably have announcements for the next several episodes. And that's because, well, for the next several weeks, I will be traveling on Fridays, which means that I will not have a show on Friday this week, will not have a show on Friday next week. I will not have a show on Friday the week after that. The next Friday in which I will have a show, I believe, is going to be mid-March, March 18th, I believe. So I should have a show March 18th, March 25th, and then most Fridays in April and May. And, of course, that could always change. There also will not be a show next Monday. So that does not mean that there's not a show until Wednesday, because there will be a special episode. It's not going to count in the regular rotation of shows. So this is episode number, I believe, 291. I will double check on that and make sure that this is episode 292. So the next episode that comes out will be a special episode. It will be special episode number 2. And yes, I realize that, I'm not doing things exactly in order. Well, it's in order because the previous special episode was special episode 1. So the next episode to come out will be special episode 2. It will not be episode 293. Episode 293 will actually be the next Ask Me Anything, which will be next Wednesday. But what is the special episode, you might ask? Well, the special episode is an interview that I will be conducting tomorrow with Leslie Ann Peterson from Love in Liberty. It's a new project, possibly dating site thing that's going to be coming forth. And, well, I'll let Leslie explain everything about that when we speak tomorrow. And that episode, I'm actually not going to release it tomorrow. I will probably release it on either Saturday or Sunday. And, yes, I know, I'm making you wait. But the reason I'm making you wait is because I want to make sure that, there's a couple days between this show and the next show that comes out. And again, yes, I realize it will not be in consecutive order, and that's because it's not going to fit the same format. The special episodes are special interviews that I do that are not necessarily time restricted. So it will be released sometime over the weekend. So there is that. There is also, I had another announcement. Oh, yes, the triathlon. That, remember last year I talked about doing the triathlon, and I talked about it a few episodes ago during the What Are You Grateful For segment, or not really segment, but during the Ask Me Anything, where I answered the question, what are you grateful for? And I sort of, went into a little bit of detail about the triathlon and being grateful for my health. Well, I decided to go ahead, and I know last year after the triathlon I said, if I ever say something so stupid as, I'm going to do a triathlon, please slap me. Well, here you go. I'm going to be doing a triathlon again. Yes, so I sent in the registration yesterday, dropped that in the mail, sent off my $45 to the organization 90% Mental. They're the ones that put on the Give Peace a Try triathlon, and the funds wind up actually going to a good cause. I believe it's Yoga for Peace is the organization that they wind up giving the money to. I'm actually pulling up their website right now, 90percentmental.org. And yes, it is the Yoga for Peace project, and proceeds from the race are granted to MoCo Arts, which is a 501c3 nonprofit, to fund the Yoga for Peace project. So, it's a good organization. They do good stuff, and they, help, bring about, a more peaceful society in their own sort of way. And, if you've never done yoga, and I've done it occasionally, it is very relaxing if you do what I would consider to be the right kind of yoga. There's some yoga that is very intense, very impactful, and it's not relaxing. The yoga that I like to do is what they call yin yoga, to where it's very gentle. You flow smoothly through the various poses. You hold the pose for a long time, and you sort of, let your body relax into the position, and it's very peaceful. And it's sort of a kind of meditation sort of thing, if you will. And again, I don't do it as often as I should, but when I do, it's very relaxing, very peaceful, and I think that more people should do it. So that is, I believe, all I have for announcements, other than I don't think I ever told you exactly where I will be this weekend, other than I'm not going to be able to do a show on Friday because I'll be traveling. So I'm flying from Boston down to New Orleans, and then I've got a ride from New Orleans to Biloxi, Mississippi. I will be at the Alabama-Mississippi Joint Libertarian Party State Conventions this weekend, participating in a presidential debate with Gary Johnson, Austin Peterson, John McAfee, Steve Kerbel, Mark Allen Feldman, and a few other Libertarian Party presidential candidates. I will also, on Saturday, if you are in the greater Biloxi area, and I realize that sounds incredibly silly, especially if you realize how small of a place Biloxi actually is, but if you're anywhere within driving distance of Biloxi, then definitely come out to the Beau Rivage on Saturday morning. You don't have to have a ticket to the convention to have brunch with me. I will be having a champagne brunch at the Beau Rivage in the Beau Rivage buffet, and it's like $22 for the buffet. No additional fee to sit down and have lunch with me and chat, and hopefully wind up learning more about me, learning more about my campaign, and hopefully I wind up getting some donations towards the campaign. But donations are not required to sit at the table that I will be sitting at during a champagne brunch, 10 o'clock Saturday morning in the buffet of the Beau Rivage Hotel Casino. So that is all of the announcements that I have. Let me now jump into you know what? No, there's one more announcement that I just thought of. The music and liners and rejoiners for episode 300, and actually every episode after 300 until probably episode about 400, it's coming together. So I just got some liners, some rejoiners, some audio tags from someone on Fiverr. I absolutely love that website where you can go and wind up having people do things for you for $5. Fiverr.com. No, they are not paying me to say that. I just really like what they do over there. Stay tuned.
Hey, this is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends radio show. I've been working with computer programmer Derek Slopey to create Fiend Phone. I'm using Fiend Phone right now to talk with and record one of my co-hosts in real time. Take it, Davi.
Hey, this is Davi Barker, and I'm 1,000 miles away from Michael, but we sound like we're in the same room.
We sure do, Davi. So, Davi, please tell the nice people more about Fiend Phone.
Fiend Phone is free, open-source software that opens up a global world of possibilities for collaborative, high-quality remote voice media production, and I'm digging it.
People can try the Windows beta version of Fiend Phone right now at fiendphone.com. But we're also raising money to vastly improve Fiend Phone and vastly improve independent talk media worldwide.
So go to fiendphone.com to help out. Who will build the audio roads? We will, with your help.
That's fiendphone.com. FEENPHONE.com. Foxtrot, Echo, November, phone.com.
Fiend Phone. I never knew remote audio could be this good.
When her plush and comfy life suddenly and unexpectedly fell apart, Brooke and her dog Cloud set out to defy the odds. If this is a man's world, as they say, living on the streets is no place for a young woman. One day she awoke in the redwood forest and realized she had become a hobo, and would ultimately come to know exactly what it means to survive. How to Be a Hobo by Brooke Willett is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry.
So, before I jump into the questions, and yes, I will get to the questions for the Ask Me Anything episode of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. But before I jump into those questions, I want to make sure that I tell you about Roberts & Roberts Brokerage. Since 1977, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit them online at rrbi.co. That's 800-874-9760 or online at rrbi.co. So, it is the Ask Me Anything episode. I will now jump into the oldest question on the list, and that question is, have you purchased anything with Bitcoin? And if so, what? Yes, I have. I have purchased a good many things with Bitcoin. There are some things that I've purchased directly with Bitcoin, others that I've purchased indirectly with Bitcoin. And the difference between the two is that there are some vendors, such as Overstock.com, where you can actually buy things directly from them with Bitcoin. There are, and I have done that, some of the radio equipment that I'm using right now, I purchased with Bitcoin from Overstock at Overstock.com. There are other things that I've purchased indirectly with Bitcoin, such as the cell phone that I am holding in my hand, although you actually don't know that I'm holding it in my hand because this is audio, not video, but just imagine that I'm holding a cell phone in my hand, even though I actually am holding a cell phone in my hand. So the HTC 626S Desire and the case that it is sitting in, both items I purchased indirectly with Bitcoin. The difference there is that the company that I bought these through, I actually bought them through Amazon. Amazon does not take Bitcoin. However, Purse does. You can actually go to savewithpurse.com. That's savewithpurse.com and sign up for an account for Purse. Now, what you do with Purse is you buy things indirectly from Amazon. So you would put things in your wish list on Amazon. You then upload the wish list to your Purse account, and then you fund the Purse account with Bitcoin. Someone that wants to purchase Bitcoin at a markup then says, I'm willing to pay X over spot, and I will buy these items. So then what they do is they buy the items from your wish list for you. So you are indirectly buying the things with Bitcoin. There's campaign material for my presidential campaign that I have purchased both directly and indirectly with Bitcoin. I've purchased airline tickets directly from cheapair.com with Bitcoin. I've purchased bumper stickers with Bitcoin. I've purchased campaign buttons with Bitcoin. All of those for the campaign and all of those directly with Bitcoin. I've purchased campaign literature indirectly with Bitcoin. So going through a service like gift.com, that's GYFT.com, you can buy a gift card to Staples, and they actually have, I believe, about 200 different places that you can buy gift cards from. You can buy those gift cards with Bitcoin. You wind up getting more bonus points from Gift when you pay for the gift card, when you buy the gift card with Bitcoin. So you're incentivized to do so. And one of the things that I did not mention about Purse, that let me go ahead and do that now, is not only are you able to indirectly buy things from Amazon, you're able to buy things from Amazon at a huge discount. So the cell phone and the case, I believe I got it like a 45% discount, because that's what Purse does. They allow you to select a discount anywhere from 0%, which I don't know why you would do that, but from 0% to 50%. And then after fees, that 50% actually winds up being 35.6%. But still, huge discount. The minimum fee that they guarantee, they will let you purchase something instantly without needing to put it in a wish list, instantly for 5% off. And that's an actual 5% off. If you select up to 10% off, which with the fees becomes about like 8%, but still, that's a good discount. If you go up to 10%, they guarantee that that will be purchased within 24 hours. So if nobody winds up saying, I will buy this item for you, Purse will purchase it for you themselves, and then they get the markup, the fees, etc., all goes to them. So they guarantee that anything at 10% or below will be purchased within 24 hours. Again, savewithpurse.com. The Not a Bus. I did not purchase directly with Bitcoin from a YMCA, but I purchased it indirectly with Bitcoin, meaning that I sold the Bitcoin to someone else and then took that money and went and bought the Not a Bus. If you're not familiar with what the Not a Bus is, if this is one of your first shows, because I've not talked about the Not a Bus in a long time, but the Not a Bus is basically the modified RV that I live in. So about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, I was on a website, actually not a website, well, Facebook is a website, but I was in one of the groups looking around, and it was the tiny house cooperative that I'm in. Somebody posted, not exactly a tiny house, but there's a YMCA that's selling some short buses. And so I wound up buying one of the short buses, and it's been modified over the last year and a half to basically be a modified RV. So the modified RV that I live in, I call the Not a Bus, because on the outside it looks like a bus, but it is legally not a bus, because bus is a legal term that means vehicle with the capacity for 16 or more passengers plus a driver. There is not capacity for more than maybe 2 passengers plus the driver, thus not a bus. And there are several other things that I've purchased with Bitcoin, either directly or indirectly, that I don't recall off the top of my head, but I did list off, several things that I've purchased. And there are, of course, there are things that you can purchase with Bitcoin that may not exactly be legal, but you can still purchase those on various, what they call deep web sites. And I've talked not at length about deep web sites, but I have talked at length about Ross Ulbricht and his trial. And Ross Ulbricht was in trouble with the law for running one of these deep web sites. So you need a special browser. There's special software that you need to be able to connect to said browser. And there are sites that exist where you can, again, purchase questionably legal things. And I will neither confirm nor deny using any of those sites. Now, let me jump into the next question. The next question, and I'm actually taking these last two out of order. The next question is, caller ID is totally screwed up. I called the power company to report an outage. They said your caller ID shows a completely different number than where I was calling from. What the heck? Darryl, how'd this happen? I'm lost. I don't know. Have absolutely no clue. Search and search. Cannot find an answer. Sometimes things just don't work properly.
Why do they hate us? Is libertarianism compatible with Islam? Davi Barker answers these questions and more in Voluntary Islam and Other Essays. He advances the voluntarist cause with analysis of the confluence of values between Islam and libertarianism, as well as contemporary movements from the Tea Party to the Arab Spring. Voluntary Islam by Davi Barker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores.
It is the year 91,001 BCE. Witness humanity's origins in Hyperchronius, a classic role-playing game for Windows PCs with a story like no other game before. A liberty-oriented experience that is not to be missed. Go to zog.ninja to get your copy of Hyperchronius today. Use the code FPP to get $1 off. Hyperchronius, zog.ninja, code FPP.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at weusecoins.com. That's weusecoins.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
It's the Ask Me Anything episode of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. I'm your host, Darryl W. Perry, and, well, now I'm going to ask you the questions. Are you fed up with the government running every aspect of your life? Are you listening to the Lava Flow podcast yet? If you answered no, then what is wrong with you? Go right now to thelavaflow.com/listen. The Lava Flow podcast, channeling the flow of information to the libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, voluntarist, and agorist community. Subscribe today using any podcatcher at thelavaflow.com/listen. Or just go back to sucking up to the government. The Lava Flow podcast, striking the root every episode. So I'm going to spend the last segment here answering a single question. The question, actually, it's not really in the form of a question. It's in the form of a statement of, Darryl, I'd like your opinion on. So actually it says, Darryl, I'd like to hear from my favorite presidential candidate on this issue. And this is a comment to a post that says, imagine if you owned hundreds of rental homes, and imagine that one of your tenants in one of your homes committed a horrendous crime. If the FBI got a search warrant for that house and asked you to open the door to investigate, you wouldn't have a problem with that, would you? Probably not, but imagine they do that, or rather, imagine that they did not. Imagine instead they said, hey, all of these locks and doors and other security features you have on your rental properties are too difficult for us to get through. We need to search somebody's house, so we want you to give us a key and the alarm codes to all of the rental properties, even though no one in those houses committed a crime. That's a much different situation, and that's what the argument between Apple and the FBI is all about. The FBI is not asking Apple to unlock a single phone. They're trying to force Apple into giving them a key to every iPhone in the world. That's why it's important, and it's got the potential to turn it into history's biggest battle over your right to privacy. P.S. Listen carefully what this year's political candidates are saying about this issue, because if they're not standing with Apple on this issue, you can bet we will have less freedom and privacy in your life should they manage to get elected to do whatever position they're running for. So, what are my thoughts on the Apple versus the FBI situation? And this is what I would consider to be a very good analogy, because the way it's being presented by some in the media is, no, the FBI is just saying that they need Apple to unlock this one particular phone. And while that may be what the FBI was saying there for a while, there's now news that there's 12 other phones that the FBI is saying that they want Apple to get into. And I can guarantee you that there will be more in the future. But what the media is not telling you, and what the FBI is not telling you, is that whatever winds up being created, it's something that Apple doesn't have, by the way, but whatever winds up being created, if anything is created, whether it be by Apple, by John McAfee, or by anyone else, more on McAfee later if time permits, but whatever winds up getting created will be able to be used on any of the iPhones. It will not be limited to just that one particular phone or the 12 other phones that the FBI says that they want to get into. Further, the iPhone in question with the San Bernardino shooter, well, apparently the FBI directed San Bernardino County to reset the password to the iCloud account. And, well, that's why the FBI can't get into parts of the phone, because the FBI had the password reset. Now, I don't know a lot about the way encryption works, other than to know that it's supposed to be very difficult to get into. And once you create a program or a backdoor to get into, one set of encryption, any device that uses that same encryption will then be able to be hacked or cracked into. And yes, I know there's a difference between hacking and cracking. And Brian Sovereign, if you're listening, please, feel free to send me an email telling me the difference, because I know from listening to Sovereign Tech that there is a difference between hacking and cracking. And I think it's that hacking is supposed to be for good reasons and cracking is for nefarious reasons. But again, I plead ignorance on the distinction between those. But back now to this situation where the FBI is telling Apple, and they've actually taken Apple to court, saying you must create a program to allow us to crack this encryption. And Apple is saying, well, we don't have a program to crack the encryption. That's kind of the point of encryption in the first place. And secondarily, no. We will not create a program to crack our own encryption, because that would totally defeat the purpose of having encryption. And further, if we did create a program to crack encryption on this phone, you would be able to use it on every phone, and no, we're not going to do that. John McAfee has said that he personally will hack into the iPhone for the FBI, and if he can't do it, he will eat his shoe. And I take issue with anyone calling themselves a libertarian that offers to assist a government agency in such a way. And whether McAfee knows this or not, whether he's just, seeking headlines or not, if John McAfee is able to crack into this one particular iPhone, whatever program he creates to crack the encryption will then be used by the government to crack into every iPhone that they want to crack into or hack into, whatever term you want to use. So John McAfee is taking a very unlibertarian position in saying that he will assist the feds because, well, he can, is basically what he is saying. Let me jump into this article from TechCrunch real quick about the 12 other phones. TechCrunch reported a couple days ago, the FBI and Department of Justice have used a strong narrative to defend their case in the dispute between the FBI and Apple. The FBI wants Apple to unlock a single iPhone 5C that belonged to one of the terrorists involved in the San Bernardino shooting. According to the FBI, it's just one iPhone. And yet that argument doesn't have too much credence, given that there are currently 12 other active cases involving iPhones and iPads running iOS 6 to iOS 9. A federal judge in New York has asked Apple to provide a list of other active cases involving password-protected devices. That list was unsealed on Tuesday. The difference between these cases and the one in San Bernardino is that these 12 other cases were filed in private. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but that is what it is. They then list these cases, dating back to October of last year. And I'll post this link to TechCrunch. You can read it at your leisure if you so choose. And again, remember, no episode this Friday, no episode on Leap Day, February 29th. It happens once every 4 years. But there will be a special episode, and every Wednesday I answer your questions. AMA at FPPradio.com.